Hey, what's going on, sports fans? This is Sean with boxing and basketball. You got my co-host Alejandro. What's going on, Alejandro?
Just chilling, just waiting to talk about this whole situation that's going on.
All right. So before we get started, let's go ahead and hit him with a little introduction.
Make sure you hit the new thanks button down below to donate to our YouTube channel so we can keep bringing you fresh content.
Yep, there you have it. Make sure you donate. Help me and Alejandro up. Hey man, because we're putting in a lot of hard work here to give you some content and stuff, man. So Alejandro, man, how long have we been waiting for the Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford fight?
I would say 6 to 7 years already.
Yeah, it feels like a long
feels
time.
that it feels like a long time because when they started talking about that, it was way before the accident. Well, the accident was last year, right?
Uh,
Or was it
2 years ago.
2019? Yeah, 2019. So it's been a minute. It's been a couple years already,
Let me let
and
me
it's
pull up Terence Crawford. I want to see when he went to 147 because right around the end of 140 going to 147.
well, when he beat
So
O'Dongo, right? And he unified.
yeah,
After that,
yeah.
he went
So
up.
yep. So Julius Ndongo was the last one at 140, and then he fought Jeff Horn at 147. So
Hmm.
that was June 2018. So we've been
18.
going on three, almost 4 years now.
Yeah, it feels like much longer.
Yeah. And actually, people were talking about it around the Julius Ndongo time, right when he was unifying. So
Yep,
technically, right after he beat him in August 2017. So we're talking about four plus years now.
yep. And it's just,
Now,
it,
uh-huh.
go ahead.
Now I was going to say, so now your question is, are we going to get Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao all over again? Now, how long did we actually wait for that fight to materialize?
That one was, it felt like forever. So 7 to 8 years, maybe. I don't know.
Uh,
That one,
Let me see. So Floyd fought him. I'm gonna pull it up. Floyd fought him in May. That was Cinco de Mayo, May 2015. So man, it's kind of hard to believe it happened a little over 6 years ago. But let's see. We've been wanting that. We wanted that fight before Canelo Alvarez, didn't we?
yeah, it's kind of like the time when Floyd was retired. Everybody started talking about like he needs to come back and fight Manny, and that's when they kind of got started. But since he fought Canelo, well, he got Robert the Ghost Guerrero and all them.
So
Everybody wanted Manny Pacquiao fight.
let's take a look at this. So I want to say, if I remember correctly, didn't we want to see that fight before Marquez knocked out Manny Pacquiao back in 2012?
Yes.
All right, so before Marquez fight was Timothy Bradley.
Hmm.
So it had to be between the Marquez fight and Timothy Bradley fight. So that's around 2011, 2012. See, he had fought Sugar Shane Mosley, beat Sugar Shane Mosley. It might Antonio Margarito. I don't know. It might have been around Antonio Margarito, Shane Mosley that we wanted to see that, I think. Do you remember?
Well, one of the things is I think when it was real hot, it was when Manny beat Miguel Cotto,
All right,
and
so
then
that
they
was
were talking
2000,
about that. Yeah,
2009.
yeah, and then they were talking about who should they fight, and then I think that's when Mayweather fought Mosley and those guys around that area,
Joshua
but they were
Clottey,
already,
then Margarito Mosley. All
and
right, so
everybody
if
was talking about that.
all right, so if your memory serves you correct, Alejandro, so that was the end of 2009. So let's just say 2010 is when we started talking about it. So from 2010 all the way up, yeah, to
Hmm.
2015. So it took about 5 years. So would you say we're pretty much on track? Because we've been talking about this for about 4 years now, going into the fifth year.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not. I don't think it's gonna happen this year. They're already talking about him, Errol Spence fighting Ugas. I personally think that for some reason, Crawford will fight Danny Garcia next. I don't know why, but it just everything fits the narrative and what could happen. That's just my opinion, but I don't think it will happen this year.
All right, so there's two things. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about Danny Garcia. All right, so let's go with that route, right? So, from what I hearing, but you don't know whether it's true or not. After the you guys fight, and if he can beat him and get those titles, the only title left is Terence Crawford. And what I'm hearing is Errol Spence is telling people close to him that if I beat you guys and win the belts, then I want to settle this. I want to fight him in November towards the end of the year. If that does happen, that would fall in line with the 5-year plan that happened with Manny and Floyd Mayweather, and the 5-year plan will fall the same here. Now, honestly, it's never going to do the magnitude of sales. Now, the gate, as far as going to Vegas and the gate, it will probably sell out. But pay-per-views, it's not going to do the same amount of pay-per-views as Manny and Floyd.
No, well, it's
It would
just
do 1 million. It would do 1 million with no
yeah,
problem.
it'll make 1 million, but it'll never get to the level of the Manny Pacquiao Mayweather because
What
the
was that,
world wanted
Alejandro?
that fight.
Was that 3 million?
I believe so.
All right.
It was up there because it was. I think it was the top pay-per-view event,
All right.
and the gate was huge too.
Pay-per-view numbers. It says 3 of the top 4 fights all time based on pay-per-view buys involve Mayweather, the retired champion, with his fight with Manny Pacquiao in 2015, generating a record 4.6 million. 4.6 million pay-per-view buys.
That's a ton,
All right,
and
here we
it
go.
was $100.
Yeah, mixed stroke vision, 4 million. Yep.
Yeah, 4 million.
You're right, 4.6. And mixed stroke vision. If you got any questions, just throw them in the chat, man. We'll answer them. A matter of fact, mixed stroke vision. Let me ask you. So, do you want to see the Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence fight? And do you see the same thing happening? They're going to make us wait forever to generate a lot of buzz, so that way the pay-per-view numbers could be big. Now, while we're waiting on him, Alejandro, Danny Garcia. Now that'd be interesting to see Terence Crawford versus Danny Garcia this year.
I think how Danny Garcia didn't fight this year, it's a perfect fight for him and for Crawford. Danny has a name, and it'll probably be on pay-per-view, but it should be a good fight. I think they'll set up Keith Thurman and Crawford next after Danny Garcia. I think those are the 2 fights that Crawford will have this year.
You're right.
And then Errol Spence could fight Ugas and say it's a close fight, because I personally think it's a real difficult fight for Spence, and I think it could go either way. I almost have it maybe close to a 50-50, and they could have a rematch, and then 2023, then that could be the mega fight if both of them are successful with their fights and win.
This is what I think. Number one, I personally think Errol Spence should not come back and fight again, even against you guys. And the reason why I say that, I don't think people realize how bad that is for you to have a retina tear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can go in there and go behind your eye and do a little surgery to try to repair. It's like having a string. You know how you have the string, that come from your shorts or something like that, and you kind of pull it and rip it. And I mean, it's so thin. And even though they can go in there and repair it, all it takes is one good punch, one good jarring punch for your retina to detach again. And it could be worse. My personal opinion is when fighters first receive the news that they have retina tears, I personally think they should stop it.
Well, it's kind of like Margarito had the same thing after the Pacquiao fight, right?
Right.
And so
What's
he was
going
never
on,
the
Stay Ready
same.
Boxing TV? What's good? You rebranded your channel. Yeah, we did. So of course everybody knows it before Mac as a boxing socialist. But so many people that actually talk boxing actually talk basketball as well. And I was like, man, I love basketball as well. So because so many people ask basketball questions, and then of course, Matt, I had Mike James on here and we talked about his basketball career. And me and Mike James talked about, I said, you know what, Mike, I said, you know what, I do like, basketball also. So we rebranded with boxing and basketball. And Alejandro, I don't know if you know this, and Mac, you know this, right? We've had boxing socialists for God since 2010. If y'all notice, in the last 2 years, 2.5 years, there's some guy over in the UK that came out with Boxing Social,
Yeah, I seen that
and they
guy.
made it almost like what we had it. And over in the UK, they're actually going pretty big. And I had people all the time talking about, yo, I saw such and such. I know you in the UK. I'm like, I'm not. And the more I kept looking at it, yo, he stole your name. He just take off the IST and just call it Boxing Social. And I was like, man, this dude did nothing but just rip off her name. It took off the IST, right? I mean, but who wants to go to court? Who wants to? I mean, at the end of the day, we don't have this thing trademark and stuff like that. So, at the same time, people wanted to talk basketball anyway. So I said, you know what? Let him have his little boxing social. And I want to rebrand to boxing and basketball anyway. But yeah, Matt, yeah, we did rebrand to for boxing and basketball.
Yeah, and they opens it up for us to talk about everything now. And I think it's a great idea that we did this.
Right. And let's throw this in here, Alejandro. So the top three pay-per-view boxing of all time. So we got the Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, which did 4.6 million. Do you know what the second one was?
I know Canelo's up there when he fought Canelo, but I'm almost
Right, you're
I
right.
think it's Canelo.
Canelo's third. Canelo's third with
And don't
2.2 million.
and then it
But
was the
there's one in
McGregor
between.
fight.
Right. McGregor was the second. So Floyd Manny Pacquiao was 4.6. The Floyd versus Conor McGregor was 4.3. It just fell 300,000 shy of topping that. And then Floyd versus Canelo did 2.2.
That's nuts. And that McGregor fight, I remember going to the press conference that was at the Staples Center, and then it was you had to get like a reserved ticket to get in there, and it was people were reselling the ticket for a press conference. It was a
Right.
huge event, huge event.
Right.
But for that fight to get so much pay-per-view buys is huge, and but that the arena didn't sell out because the tickets were crazy expensive. I remember hearing about that like the cheapest tickets were $1,000, I believe so.
Right.
And so, but they robbed the bank that night.
Right. And look, and check this out. And I want to throw this out there to you also. I want to share the screen real quick. And I don't know what's going on with Mayweather Promotions, PBC, Mayweather Promotions. So look at this. So now I'm not a big fan of YouTubers and all that stuff fighting, but I thought this was interesting when I saw this up here. When you look at this, it lets you know the Daily Star put Floyd Mayweather earned so much from the Logan Paul fight, he could buy Jeff Bezos' jet, right? But look what Logan Paul came back. Yeah, because the dirty little rat hasn't paid me yet. Lots of laughs. It's been 6 months. But no worries, Floyd Mayweather. KSI and I are going to make back the money you stole from me and more January the 4th. So I say that to say this. What's going on? So what happens is what people don't realize is PBC pays Mayweather Promotions or TMT Promotions. TMT Promotions, Mayweather Promotions, is supposed to pay Logan Paul. So my question is, it's been 6 months. How come Floyd Mayweather's TMT Promotions has not paid him the rest of the pay-per-view money split?
Who knows? There's a lot of stuff going on right now with Mayweather Promotions, especially now that he announced or he came out on his Instagram saying that he's gonna fight exhibitions on next year, February, I believe he said,
Oh God, Dubai,
in Dubai, and he didn't even mention Al Heyman, Showtime, um,
PBC.
PBC, nobody. It's just whoever's paying the money in Dubai.
Leonard Ellaby wasn't even
So
there.
nope. So something's fishy there too. Something's going on. I don't know. They're hurting for money or
Hey,
I don't
look,
know. But
for all y'all that didn't see my video, I put out a video about week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Floyd Mayweather was with Grant Cardone about a month ago, and go back and watch that video that I put out there. Because Grant Cardone asked him about who you report to, who help. He said, I'm 100% my own boss. I don't report to nobody. I don't have no agent. So I'm like, Floyd Mayweather always praises Al Heyman in interviews, but with Grant Cardone, he didn't mention Al Heyman at one time, PBC or none of that. So it's interesting. Let's take a look at this. McStroke Vision. Most people want Crawford Spence, but it seems like PBC is stalling the fight. Danny Garcia said he doesn't want to fight Crawford. He wants Brooke or Khan next. Hey, Mick Stroke is right. Now that I think about it, Alejandro, Danny Garcia did say he's moving 154 pounds now. But I understand why he wants to avoid him too. And to fight somebody like Khan again, you've already knocked the dude out. And to fight Brooke, he's trying to. It's weird. He wants to move in a 154-pound division, but he wants to fight people that's on the back end of the nine. Like they're almost out of here and retired.
Or the small guys in the division too. It's like the Mir Khan versus Brooke. That fight would have been huge. What, like 8 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever, when it was really hot. Now it's just they're just doing it because that's the only fight that's going to generate money for both of them. But
Right.
I don't know. I still think Danny Garcia will stay and fight Crawford. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that that's a good, like not for Danny, but I think PBC will try to make that fight happen.
Right.
Just have a feeling. Because
Right.
who else could Crawford fight if it's not Spence?
Yeah.
I know he could fight Thurman, but Thurman got a fight coming up with
Mario
Barrios.
Barrios. Yeah.
Yeah, Barrios. And so what could who could what's it called, Crawford fight next if it's not Spence
Yeah,
or
that's at
Ugas?
least, yeah, that's going to be worthwhile. Let's look at Black Seas. He says they're avoiding Bud in particular, blackballing him for 4 years almost. Oh, Alejandro, I just now thought about it. Everything's just coming back to my mind now. So everybody's saying that they heard that Terence Crawford is going to come back for a one-fight deal with Top Rank to fight Josh Taylor. They're talking about the Josh Taylor fight.
I don't think that'll happen. I don't think I don't think Taylor will go to 47 to fight Crawford and be his first fight.
Right.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think he'll probably fight Progress again, a rematch. That would be a good one for Taylor. That was a real close fight, but I don't.
Regis just said the other day, he wants to. Who was it? Regis was talking about fighting. Regis might have a fight with. Oh God, I don't remember who it is, but he's talking about fighting Josh Taylor maybe towards the end of the year. But he was talking about fighting somebody else first. I just can't remember who it is. Then you got now Chad Perez. He popped on here. Well, let's go back. Ms. Stroke said PBC going broke. Maybe the company is the LLC, but not Al Heyman.
Yeah, Al Heyman has money.
And is Chad correct? Chad is saying that Errol Spence and Terence Crawford these two have destroyed the 147-pound division.
Well, they have, but I don't think they're gonna fight. Yeah, they're gonna try to make this fight much bigger, and they're gonna start making it to the point it gets annoying that when are they gonna fight to get the people talking? And once it's just the right time, they'll do it. But I'm thinking next late 2023 will happen.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And then you have right here, Black C says, Bud going to fight Josh Taylor in a huge international fight. Yeah, I think that would be pretty huge. But it would be Josh Taylor's first time moving up to 147.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know if Josh
that's
would
tough.
like his. I don't know. I think maybe if he gets maybe a tune up and then fight Bud, it could be possible. But if Bob just wants to make it happen, you never know. It just stuff happens. Like the way, like I'm still like one of the fights that I was really shocked when it happened is when out of nowhere Amir Khan came out to fight Canelo, and you're like, what the heck was that all about? And him moving up. So you never know. Josh Taylor might just decide to do it. And they were in Dubai for some convention, and they were talking about him and Crawford were arguing a little bit. And Josh Taylor is not a small guy. I saw him. So the last time I went to cover the Caleb Plant versus Canelo fight, I went to the Jake Paul press conference when he was going to fight Tommy Fury, but then you guys know what happened. He was
Right.
there, and I'm I weigh like maybe close to 200 pounds. And I stood next to him, and he's not a big guy.
Right.
He's
Right.
a big guy. He's not a small guy. I mean,
Right. Right. He's a big guy. So check this out. So I want to pull up. Let me share the screen. I want to pull up some things that I found on Twitter for Terence Crawford. Um, talks about a lady here. Uh, highlight at night was introducing my mom, unapologetic Leia, to one of her all-time favorites, Terence Crawford. And yes, she added my stepdad as a Spence fan. Let's check this out. He said, "Bud, when you fight anybody else, hey, that's hilarious, man. When you got a husband and wife, when they fighting over this fight, and she straight put him out."
yeah, it's good when your girl likes boxing and you guys could argue about the fights. That's my personally. That's something special. That's good.
Somebody said Terence Crawford got shot in the head and drove himself to the hospital. I don't think he's scared of any boxer. I don't recall that Terence Crawford got shot in the head.
No, he got. I think it was the
I
leg,
mean, Google
but it
it.
was when he was younger. But yeah, he
Um,
did get shot when he was younger. So my girlfriend, my fiance's family's from Nebraska.
I know
So
it says here Terence Crawford tells the story of being shot in the head
oh
back
yeah,
in
there you go.
2008.
Yeah, he did get shot. So my fiance's family lives in Nebraska. So one day I went up there, and I went to the I think it's called the B&B Boxing Club,
Uh
and
huh.
it's in the hood.
Yeah.
It's in the hood, and it just knows. And then Crawford still trains there, so it just I don't I'm yeah like he no he got
Yeah,
shot
yeah,
in the
yeah.
head in
Just
a
yeah,
dice game.
gotcha. In a dice game. Hey, listen, this and then Chaz came at Spence rolled his car. Listen, these guys, listen. One thing about Terence Crawford, if people ever pay attention to Terence Crawford and his mannerism, right? Terence Crawford has dog in him. I'm not saying Spence is weak. I'm not saying Spence is a punk. I'm saying you see that dog in Terence Crawford. I knew he was a dog, but when I knew he had no fear, is when he went to go throw a check left hook at what's that? Jose Benavidez.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
And he
They're in
almost
the
punched him.
weigh-in, right?
Yeah, he wasn't afraid to get the fight canceled to actually hurt Jose. Because if he would have hit him and hurt him and the fight being called off, Terence didn't care. That's when I knew this dude got hood in him. This dude has no fear in him. And like I said, I'm not saying Spence is afraid, but if I'm gonna go who has more dog in him, definitely I'm gonna say Terence Crawford.
So, Sean, I have a question for you. If the fight happens and Terence Crawford defeats Spence, will he get the credit, or will people blame it on the on the accident? That if you would have fought him before the accident,
no, because how good he looked against Danny Garcia and how spectacular he looked, shutting him out 12 rounds. First of all, Danny Garcia should not be fighting past 140. I mean, who has he fought? I'm trying to see. 147, he's just not beating anybody. Now you're talking about 154? What's going on, Joseph Bailey?
I don't see him fighting up there. I know they talked about it, but that's why he's chasing Brooke, and now how you said it, he's chasing Brooke or Khan at 154. It just doesn't make sense to me, but let's see.
Joseph Bailey, Spence don't want no parts. And no parts of Bud. Chad Perez. Danny is a bum at 147. Let's look at Danny's 147-pound record. Let's go back. Danny Garcia.
So he fought at Granados, Sean Porter, and then Ivan Redhawk and Errol Spence. Oh, yeah. He also fought Thurman.
All right, we got it right here. Yeah. So 147. Paul Malignaggi. Man, that right there is just comical. You know, did you notice that everybody, when they moved from 140 to 147, they fought Paulie Malignaggi? Because they know, I want to see if we can handle even a lightweight's power. That was the whole thing.
Well, they call Paulie pillow hands.
Right. It says, let's see, Robert Guerrero, which was Robert kind of on the back end then? No, I think he was tailor-made. Listen, he was tailor-made because Robert's southpaw, right? So, and Danny's a left hook checker, so that was perfect for him. Samuel Vargas, that was going to be no competition. And then when he fought, one of the top guys, Keith Thurman, he lost by split decision. Brandon Rios was super tailor-made for him. Super tailor-made at 147. Then when he fought against another top guy, Sean Porter, he lost. Then he went back to Adrian Granados, which is tailor-made. Ivan Redhawk, everybody's beating him. And then when he fought Errol Spence, like look at all the top guys. All the he couldn't beat the champions at 147. He couldn't beat Keith Thurman, champion at 147. Couldn't beat Sean Porter at 147. And he couldn't beat Errol Spence Jr. at 147.
That's why I don't see how he could go to 154 and think that his power is going to come up with him if he's losing against these guys.
Right. And like Chad Perez says, he'll never be a champ again. 154 pounds is a death sentence.
Yeah. So you see why I feel that Danny could consider a flyweight Crawford for a big payday.
Right.
So it could happen.
Right. And then he has here, Joseph Bailey, Danny don't throw enough punches for me. He doesn't. Listen, and that's the thing about it, Alejandro, Joseph. Danny's actually talented, but for some reason, he does not let his punches go.
Well, it seems like as soon as he moved up to 147, like Broner, they stopped letting their hands go. Broner, when he was in the smaller divisions, he would let his hands go, and as soon as he lost to Maidana, he started thinking too much and just was looking for hard shots at all times.
Right.
Brandon
and Chad
was
is
coming
right.
out of return.
Yeah. All right, let's throw this stream here real quick. Let's look what Bob Arum had to say.
We can't hear it on our end.
You can't hear it?
No.
It's not coming through?
Mm-mm.
No?
No.
Let me see. And anyone hear Bob in the chat? Let me see if anybody can hear it. Yeah, Joseph said the same thing.
Yeah.
All right, so let me stop the stream completely and then restream it. See if y'all can hear it then. So let me go back, share screen, Bob Aaron. Let's see if y'all can hear it now. Let me know if y'all can hear it. Can y'all hear it?
No.
All right. I'll see if I can pull it up on YouTube. Aaron. Let's see.
So in the meantime, we could talk about how this past yesterday, the fight where what's it called? Where Luis Ortiz. What did you guys think of the fight? Did you guys buy the pay-per-view? The Ortiz Martin fight? Anybody bought the pay-per-view? One of the things I did notice during the fight is that Ortiz's legs are gone. He during some of the rounds, it looked like he had no power in his legs, and it looked like any good punch will drop him. That's why he was dropped a couple times. So for whoever fights Luis Ortiz is gonna have a real good day next fight for Ortiz. I think the age finally caught up to him.
I heard Chad Perez didn't buy it. And Chad says Ortiz is old.
Well, nobody really knows how old he is. They're saying that he's 42, but I guess Cubans have a reputation of changing their age once they come to the United States. That's what I've been hearing. Like, how old is Regal, too? So, I don't know.
All right. He said, I saw the last 3 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
So one of the things too that I want to ask this question to you, Sean. If you were a boxer, would you take your family to the fight to see you fight?
Yeah, that wouldn't bother me.
Because Ortiz had his little daughter and sons, and they were crying throughout the fight. So
well, I'll put it like this. It depends on how old they are. If they're at teenager status, I'm going to say 12, 13, 14, then yeah. But anything below that, they don't know. All they know is that somebody's trying to hurt daddy. But when you're around 12, 13, 14, they understand this is a sport, this is a business, this is boxing.
Because they kept showing Ortiz's little daughter, and she was crying, and she's probably like 9 or 10, and he had his little toddlers there too. So
right,
I was just wondering, like it's tough.
So look, it has here Martin is a bum, who even looks somewhat old versus somewhat okay versus Ortiz. Then he edited his birth certificate in crayon. These days, you can identify as anything. All right, so check this out. So let me know if you. I'm gonna start this. And let me know if you can hear it. I downloaded that video. Let me know if you can hear it play.
Long-term contracts, and then, well, he's left you and so forth.
Could y'all hear that?
Yes.
All right, so let me go ahead and play it. So this is Bob Arum talking about the contract.
Long-term contracts, and then, well, he's left you and so forth. No, he's finished his contract. He's done his contract. He's earned what he was supposed to earn, and now he has to look for the best possible deal that's out there. I mean, that's the way it used to be. You know, going back to the 80s and 90s, particularly the 80s, where I had all these great Leonard and Hearns and Hagler. Nobody had long-term contracts. And yet I did, of the 9 fights that they had, 7 of the 9, but without tying anybody to a particular contract, other than the fight contract.
Interesting.
A lot of the fighters are trying to do what Canelo's doing now. And Bob's right. Before, everybody fought everybody because nobody was tied down to one promotion. And I think that's good for Crawford if he could fight for PBC, Matchroom, or even Top Rank, and he could just do one fight deals. I think he'll make more money and he'll get better fights.
Right. Alejandro, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So the camera part, I just hooked up a new camera. I'm going to have to go in there and adjust the temperature and stuff like that. It shut off saying it got hot. But yeah, long story short, a lot of these fights, what happened is the promoters got along all the time. The problem is when the networks got involved, Showtime, HBO, and these others. When they got involved, that's when everything just went left.
Well, that was kind of like when Tyson was going to fight someone, and there was a big promotion network issue, and so it was the same thing with Showtime and HBO with the Pacquiao and Mayweather fight. But I think with Crawford being basically a free agent now, there's no reason for not being able to make the Spence fight.
Right.
But I still don't think it will happen this year.
Right. Yeah. All right, well, there you have it. I'm man, Alejandro, I appreciate you being on, man. Thanks everybody for being on there in the chat. And listen, hopefully we can get T Diddy on tomorrow. He was at the fights, so we can discuss the Martin versus Ortiz fight tomorrow night. So we're gonna shoot for 9 o'clock like we normally do on Monday night. So I want y'all to come back on, check that out. Let's see what T Diddy had to say. You know, T Diddy is fought Martin, so I want to hear his thoughts about how he thought the fight was going. But until next time, this is Sean and Alejandro with Boxing and Basketball. Until next time, we signing out.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
All right, peace.